The Great Hall of Centralis Prime had never seen such panic. Hundreds of alien species filled the chamber, their voices creating a storm of sound. Ambassador Ji Woo Han stood quietly in the corner, watching the chaos unfold. She had been humanity's voice in the Galactic Assembly for 5 years now, and she had never seen them like this. The holographic display in the center showed the problem. Red markers spread across the star map like a disease. The Vrelm swarm had taken 12 systems in 3 months. Their ships moved like a single organism, overwhelming everything in their path. The Assembly's military forces had thrown 3 battle groups at them. All 3 were destroyed in less than a week. High Chancellor Vrektal raised his forearms for silence. He was massive, even for his insectoid species. His compound eyes reflected the red light from the display. "The Vrelm approach our core worlds," he said, his voice somehow both clicking and smooth. "We must decide our response." Ji Woo took a breath and stepped forward. "Honorable Chancellor, humanity offers assistance." Her voice was clear, but it barely carried in the huge room. Several aliens turned to look at her. Some made sounds she had learned meant amusement. "The human speaks," said a delegate from the Thuldarian Empire. He was twice Ji Woo's height, covered in blue scales. "How charming." Ji Woo kept her face calm. She had dealt with this for 5 years. "We can provide 200 warships and 50,000 Marines. Our forces can be ready in 3 days." The chamber fell silent for a moment. Then the laughter began. It started as small chirps and rumbles, then grew louder. Ji Woo felt her hands form fists at her sides, but she kept them hidden in her sleeves. "Ambassador Han," Vrektal said, and his tone was kind, the way one speaks to a child. "We appreciate the offer, truly, but humans are." He paused, searching for words. "You are fragile. Your bones break easily. You need food and water constantly. You live such short lives." "We are combat ready," Ji Woo said firmly. A delegate that looked like a floating jellyfish spoke up. "Dear human, you mean well, but this is real war. The Vrelm tear through reinforced hulls. They fight in vacuum. They feel no fear." The delegate's tentacles waved gently. "Your people would be slaughtered. Done. 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 We have trained for this," Ji Woo insisted. "Trained?" The Thuldarian laughed. "We have been warriors for 10,000 years. Our soldiers are bred for combat. They live for 2 centuries, and still the Vrelm destroy us." He leaned down toward Ji Woo. "You are soft things from a soft world. Go home. Let the real militaries handle this." Ji Woo felt something cold settle in her stomach. Not fear. Something else. "Earth is not a soft world," she said quietly, but no one was listening anymore. The council had moved on to other strategies. Ji Woo walked back to her corner. Her assistant, Dr. Woo Jin Choi, waited there with a datapad. "They won't even consider it," Ji Woo said. Woo Jin looked at his pad. "I found something strange in the archives," he said. "Old records. Very old. From when the Assembly first encountered Earth." "What kind of records?" "Warnings," Woo Jin said. "The early scouts who found Earth. They were terrified. They called humans persistence predators and death worlders. They said humanity should never be allowed to reach the stars." Ji Woo frowned. "That doesn't make sense." "Exactly. Someone erased most of the records. These were fragments I found in corrupted data." Woo Jin showed her the pad. The text was ancient, barely readable. It says, "They do not know when to stop. They track prey across time itself. They refuse to accept defeat. Keep them contained." "Why would they erase this?" "I don't know. But I'm going to find out." Woo Jin looked at the council, still debating. Maybe they made themselves forget on purpose. Over the next 2 days, The news got worse. The Vrelm took another system. Assembly forces retreated. The council debated and argued, but they could not agree on a strategy. Every race wanted to protect their own worlds first. Jiwoo met with an old archivist, a being who looked like a pile of rocks with eyes. He was one of the few aliens who treated humans with respect. "Your Dr. Choi has been asking questions," the archivist said. His voice sounded like grinding stones. "About the old warnings." "Yes. I remember those times. I am very old, you see. I was young when your people were found." The archivist's eyes dimmed. "We were scared. Humans were still using primitive weapons. But the things we saw, the way you hunted, the way you fought each other, we had never seen such violence. So you quarantined Earth? We hid you. We hoped you would never develop space travel. We erased the records so no one would go looking." The archivist made a sound like a sigh. "But you found the stars anyway, and when you arrived, so much time had passed that no one remembered why we feared you. You seemed so weak compared to us now. So small and fragile." "But we're not," Jiwoo said softly. "No," the archivist agreed. "You are not. But they have forgotten. They only see your short lives and soft skin. They have forgotten what it means to come from a death world." The emergency call came that night. Jiwoo was pulled from sleep by alarms. She ran to the communication center in her quarters. Admiral Haiwon Park's face appeared on the screen. The Admiral was humanity's supreme commander, a woman who had led fleets for 30 years. She looked exhausted. "New Jeju is under attack," Haiwon said without greeting. "The Vrelm bypassed all assembly worlds. They went straight for our colony." Jiwoo felt the world tilt. 4 million people live there. I know. I'm mobilizing everything we have in range. But we're 3 days out. Minimum. Haiwon's jaw tightened. "I need you to get us help from the council." "I won." Jiwoo ran. She ran through the empty halls of the assembly complex, her footsteps echoing. She burst into the council chamber, where Vrektal was meeting with military advisors. "New Jeju is under attack," she gasped. 4 million humans. Please, send help." Vrektal looked at her with something that might have been pity. "Ambassador Han, New Jeju is not a strategic target. It has no military value. We must protect the core worlds. There are 4 million civilians. We will offer asylum to any who escape," a Thuldarian general said. "But we cannot spare ships for a rescue mission." "I am sorry." Jiwoo stared at them. These beings, who had laughed at humanity's offer to help, who had called humans too weak to fight. Now they would not lift a finger to save human children. "Then humanity stands alone," she said. Her voice was ice. She walked out of the chamber with her head high. Behind her, she heard Vrektal say, "Unfortunate. But perhaps this will teach them the reality of war." Jiwoo returned to her quarters and opened a channel to Admiral Haiwon. "They won't help," she said. Haiwon nodded slowly. "Then we do what we always do. We save our own." She looked off screen at something. "I'm sending everything. Every ship. Every Marine. We're not letting New Jeju fall." "The council thinks we're too weak," Jiwoo said. "Then they're about to learn something," Haiwon replied. "Humans don't quit. Not ever." The channel closed. Jiwoo sat in the darkness of her room, looking at the star map. New Jeju was a small point of light. So far away. 3 days. Until the fleet arrived. She wondered if that would be fast enough. She wondered how many would die because the galaxy had forgotten what humans really were. Tomorrow, she would show them the old records. She would make them remember. But tonight, all she could do was pray that the people on New Jeju could hold on. Just a little longer. Lieutenant Bo Ra Song had exactly 40 minutes to prepare for the end of the world. The warning came through her helmet just after dawn. Vreln ships dropping from orbit, Thousands of them. She looked at the sky and saw them burning through the atmosphere like falling stars. All units. This is Song, she said into her radio. Her voice was steady. It had to be steady. Execute Protocol Delta. Get the civilians to the evacuation sites. This is not a drill. Her platoon moved like they had trained 1,000 times. Because they had trained 1,000 times, Marines spread out across the colony, guiding people to the underground shelters. Children crying, parents grabbing whatever they could carry, everyone moving as fast as they could. Bora had 3,000 Marines on New Jeju. The colony had another 15,000 people with military training. Veterans, militia, colonists, who knew how to shoot. She needed every single one of them. The display on her wrist showed the Vrel numbers. 200,000 combat organisms. Maybe more. Lieutenant. The evacuation ships won't be here for 3 days, her sergeant said. His name was Quan, and he had served with her for 6 years. Good man. Steady hands. Then we hold for 3 days. Bora said simply. Against that, Quan pointed at the sky where the Vreln ships were landing. Dark shapes poured out of them. The Vreln looked like nightmares. 6 legs, armored shells, claws that could tear through steel. They moved fast. Too fast for something so big. Against that, Bora confirmed. She checked her rifle. We've got families to protect, so we don't lose. The first wave hit the outer farms. Bora watched through her binoculars. The Vreln moved like water, flowing around obstacles. But they could die. Human weapons tore through them. The problem was the numbers. For every one that fell, 10 more took its place. Bora's forces fell back in stages. That was the plan. Slow them down. Make them pay for every meter. Use the buildings. Use the terrain. The Marines and militia fought from prepared positions, then retreated before they could be surrounded. Standard tactics. But the Vreln kept coming. By nightfall, Bora had consolidated her forces around Firebase Gwangju. It was the colony's main military installation, built into a hill overlooking the evacuation sites. If the Vreln got past Gwangju, they would reach the civilians. Bora had 800 Marines left, another 2,000 militia. The rest were scattered across the colony. Still fighting, still buying time. Set up the heavy guns on the walls, she ordered. I want mines on every approach. If it moves, and it's not human, kill it. The night was full of sounds. Weapons fire in the distance, explosions, screams. Bora walked the walls, checking on her people. They were tired already. This was only the first day. Lieutenant, a young Marine said. She looked maybe 20 years old. Are we going to make it? Bora looked at her, saw the fear in her eyes. The Marine nodded and went back to checking her ammunition. Bora hoped she had told the truth. The Vreln attacked at midnight. They came in a wave that looked like the ground itself was moving. Thousands of them. The heavy guns opened up, tearing holes in the swarm. Explosions lit up the night. The Vreln kept coming. They climbed over their own dead without slowing down. Hold the line! Bora shouted. She fired her rifle until it overheated, then switched to her sidearm. A Vreln reached the wall. She shot it in what she hoped was its head. It fell. Another took its place. She shot that one too. The battle lasted 6 hours. When dawn came, the Vreln pulled back. The ground in front of Firebase Gwangju was covered with their bodies. But the walls still stood. The humans still held. Bora counted her people. 32 dead. 90 wounded. The medics worked without stopping. One Marine had a broken leg but refused to leave the wall. I can still shoot, he said. Then, shoot, Bora told him. What else could she say? The second day was worse. The Vreln had learned. They attacked from multiple directions. They used their dead as shields. They showed no fear, no hesitation. They were a hive mind. Thousands of bodies controlled by one intelligence. They never made the same mistake twice, but neither did humans. Bo-Ra's forces adapted. They set traps. They used false retreats to draw the Vreln into kill zones. They fought dirty. They fought smart. When ammunition ran low, they made more from supplies in the colony. When the heavy guns broke down, engineers fixed them under fire. The galaxy was watching. Someone had set up cameras. The footage went out through the communication networks. Aliens across hundreds of worlds watched humans fight. They saw Marines with broken arms still firing their weapons. They saw militia members carrying wounded comrades while under attack. They saw Bo-Ra, her armor cracked and stained, leading a charge to retake a fallen section of wall. They saw humans singing while they reloaded. Actually singing. Battle songs from Earth, old and new. One camera caught a group of Marines joking about their situation. "At least the weather's nice," one said. And they all laughed, while firing at the approaching Vreln. The aliens watching could not understand it. These humans were surrounded. They were outnumbered. They should be breaking. They should be surrendering. But they didn't. On the third day, Bo-Ra got a message. Captain Dae-Ho Kim was 6 hours out with the fleet. 6 more hours. She looked at her remaining forces. 400 Marines, maybe 1,000 militia still able to fight. The Vreln had stopped attacking that morning. They were gathering for one final push. She could see them on the plains below. A dark mass that covered the ground. "They're going to hit us with everything," Quan said. "Probably." Bo-Ra agreed. She was so tired. They all were. 3 days without real sleep, running on stimulants and determination. She looked at her people. They looked back at her with trust. They believed she would get them through this. "Listen up," she said over the radio. 6 more hours. That's all we need. 6 hours, and the fleet arrives. We've made it this far. We can make it 6 more hours. What if we can't? Someone asked. Bo-Ra thought about the families in the shelters below, the children hiding in the dark, the old people who had built this colony with their hands. "Then, we make them pay for every second," she said. "And we make sure the evacuation sites stay protected. No matter what. After. We know days not. We had 43 far. The Vreln attacked 1 hour later. Everything they had." Bo-Ra had never seen so many in one place. They hit the walls like a tsunami. The defenses held for 30 minutes. Then, the wall breached. Vreln poured through. "Fall back to secondary positions," Bo-Ra ordered. Her forces retreated in good order, still fighting. They made the Vreln pay for every room in the firebase, every hallway, every door. Bo-Ra found herself trapped in a command bunker with 20 Marines. Vreln surrounded them. She checked her ammunition. 3 magazines left. She looked at her people. They looked back. No one was panicking. No one was giving up. "It's been an honor," Quan said. "Not yet," Bo-Ra replied. "We're not done yet." Then she heard it, a sound like thunder. She looked at her tactical display. Ships. Human ships. 6 of them, led by the UNS Indomitable. Captain Dae-Ho had arrived early. He was coming in fast, weapons blazing. The Indomitable's guns tore through the Vreln ships in orbit. Dropships launched, carrying fresh Marines. The Vreln swarm faltered, confused by the sudden attack from above. "All units, relief has arrived." Dae-Ho's voice came through every radio. "Hold your positions. We're coming for you." Bo-Ra's people cheered. They pushed back against the Vreln with renewed strength. Marines from the dropships hit the Vreln from behind. The battle turned into chaos. But the Vreln had a command ship in orbit. It was massive, controlling the entire swarm. As long as it survived, the Vreln would keep fighting. Bo-Ra heard Dae-Ho give new orders over the fleet channel. Orders she couldn't believe. He was going to ram the Indomitable into the command ship. He was going to detonate his reactor in the middle of the Vreln fleet. "Captain, no," someone said over the radio. It's the only way to break them, Deho replied. His voice was calm. Get my crew to the escape pods. I'll stay and make sure the detonation happens. Bo-Ra watched the sky. The Indomitable turned, started accelerating. It hit the Vreln command ship like a hammer. Then the light came. The reactor went critical. The explosion was visible from the ground, a second sun in the sky. The Vreln stopped. All of them. Without the command ship, the hive mind was broken. They scattered, confused, no longer coordinated. The human forces hunted them down. When it was over, Bo-Ra stood on the broken walls of Firebase Gwangju. The evacuation was complete. 2.3 million civilians saved. 847 Marines survived. The price was high, but New Jeju still stood. She thought about Captain Deho, about his last message. Never again will anyone say, humans are too weak to protect our own. Bo-Ra looked at the sky where the captain had died. No, she whispered. They never will again. No. No. He video played on every screen across the galaxy. Footage from New Jeju. The battle that should have been a massacre. Aliens watched in silence as humans fought for 73 hours straight. They saw Lieutenant Bo-Ra leading charges with a fractured rib. They saw Marines laughing while surrounded. They saw humans refuse to break. Dr. Woojin Choi stood in his small office on Centralis Prime, watching the reactions flood in. The galactic networks were full of questions. How did they do it? Why didn't they surrender? What are humans? His communication panel lit up. An official summons. The Assembly Military Council wanted answers. They wanted him to explain what they had seen. Ambassador Ji Woo found him packing his research. They're finally listening, she said. They're finally scared, Woojin corrected. He held up a data pad. I've been working on this since the battle, pulling together every piece of information I can find about Earth, about human evolution, about what we really are. And what are we? Woojin smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. We're the thing they tried to forget. The military council chamber was smaller than the main assembly hall, but no less impressive. It was filled with generals and admirals from 100 different species. All of them had watched the New Jeju footage. All of them wanted to understand. High Chancellor Vrektal sat at the center. He looked at Woojin differently now, not like a child, like something he wasn't sure about. Dr. Choi, Vrektal said, we have seen something impossible. Your forces held against odds of 50-1. Your Marines fought for 3 days without breaking. How? Woojin activated his holographic display. An image of Earth appeared, rotating slowly. Beautiful blues and greens. Let me tell you about my world, he said. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. That's the highest danger rating in the Assembly's scale. The gravity is 2.3 times standard. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which you would consider toxic levels. The planet experiences regular catastrophic weather events. Earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, ice ages. A Thuldarian general shifted uncomfortably. Many worlds have harsh conditions. Yes, Woojin agreed. But Earth has something else. Competition. The display changed to show Earth's ecosystem. Predators, hunting prey. Earth has more predator species than any catalogued world. They're faster, stronger, better armed than anything humans could naturally be. No speed. Then how did you survive? Asked a floating jellyfish delegate. Endurance, Woojin said simply. He brought up a video. Ancient footage, restored from Earth's past. It showed early humans hunting. This is called persistence hunting. My ancestors would choose a prey animal, something faster, stronger, an antelope, a deer. Then they would chase it. The council watched as the primitive humans jogged after the fleeing animal. The prey would run away. It was faster, so it escaped easily. But humans didn't stop. They tracked it. When it rested, they appeared again. They chased it again. They did this for hours, sometimes days, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. That's... A general searched for words. That's cruel. That's survival, Wujin said. Humans can run for hours without stopping. We can track prey across vast distances. We can function on minimal water and food. We sweat, which lets us cool down while moving. Most predators can't do that. They overheat. We don't. He changed the display again. But it gets worse. Humans didn't just hunt. We competed with other predators. Bears, lions, wolves. Things that could kill us easily in direct combat. We competed with them and won. Not by being stronger, by being smarter, by never giving up. The chamber was silent. Wujin continued. And then we competed with each other. Human tribes fought for resources. We developed weapons, strategy, tactics. We became very, very good at war because we had no choice. Everything on Earth was trying to kill us. We had to be tough or die. But you're so fragile, Vrektal said quietly. Your bones break. You die from small wounds. Yes, Wujin agreed. We break easily, but we heal. We adapt. We overcome. He showed medical data. A human can lose a third of their blood and survive. We can function with broken bones. We can fight with injuries that would incapacitate most species. We've evolved to endure damage and keep going. A military analyst spoke up. The footage from New Jeju shows your forces operating for 73 hours with minimal rest. How? Road. Dodd R. Road. Humans can stay awake for days if necessary. We suffer, yes. We become less efficient. But we can do it. Wujin pulled up biological data. Our bodies produce adrenaline, a chemical that lets us ignore pain and push past normal limits. In extreme situations, humans can perform feats of strength that would normally be impossible. You drug yourselves to fight? Someone asked, shocked. Our bodies do it automatically when we're threatened, Wujin explained. It's called a fight or flight response. Except, humans usually choose fight. He brought up the ancient records he had found. The ones that had been erased. 50,000 years ago, the Assembly discovered Earth. They found humans in our tribal stage, still using stone tools, still living in caves. But the scouts who visited were terrified. The original reports appeared on the screen. Wujin read them aloud. Quote, "The humans don't understand defeat. We watch them hunt for 3 days without rest. We watch them fight each other with a ferocity we've never seen. They take wounds that would kill our soldiers and keep fighting. They are persistence predators on a scale we cannot comprehend. Recommendation: quarantine the Sol system. Never let these beings reach the stars. If they develop space travel, the galaxy will never know peace. They are too dangerous, too relentless, too human." The chamber erupted in noise, delegates shouting, arguing. Vrektal raised his arms for silence. "You're saying we deliberately hid humanity?" "You tried to," Wujin said, "and you erased the records so no one would remember why. When we finally achieved space travel on our own, so much time had passed that you had forgotten. You only saw that we were weak compared to you now. Small, fragile, short-lived. But we're not weak," Jiwoo said from the gallery. She had been listening to everything. "We just seem weak, because we're standing next to species that had everything we had to fight for." Wujin nodded. "Every species in this assembly evolved on safe worlds. Worlds where food was plentiful, where predators were rare, where survival was easy. You grew large and strong because you could afford to. You developed long lives because nothing cut them short. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We're small because we had to be mobile. We're short-lived because most of us died young. We're fragile because we couldn't afford the energy to maintain heavy armor or massive bodies. Everything we are is an adaptation for survival on the worst world in known space. The old rock-like archivist spoke from a corner. He said, "I was there when the decision was made to hide them. We were terrified of what they might become if given access to technology. And we were right to be afraid," Vrektal said slowly. He looked at the footage from New Jeju again. "This is what you really are. Not weak, not fragile, dangerous." "No," Jiwoo said firmly. She stood. "Capable. There's a difference. We don't fight because we love war. We fight because we've learned that sometimes there's no other choice. We endure because we've had to endure for 200,000 years." Admiral Haewon Park appeared on a screen, joining the meeting remotely. "The Vreln are still advancing on your core worlds," she said. "You can fear us later. Right now, you need us." Vrektal looked at her. At the human admiral who had sent every ship she had to save New Jeju. "What do you want?" he asked. "Full membership in the Assembly. Technology sharing. Reparations for New Jeju. And you listen when we offer advice on military matters. You want control of our forces? We want partnership," Haewon corrected. "We'll fight with you. Not for you. But we do it as equals." The council debated for hours. But they had seen what humans could do. They had seen Lieutenant Bo-Ra hold against impossible odds. They had seen Captain Dae-ho sacrifice himself to save a world. They had seen what Deathworlders were capable of. In the end, they agreed. Humanity would join the war effort. Not as weak beings, needing protection, but as equals. As warriors. As Woojin left the chamber, a young alien officer stopped him. "Doctor," she said, "that thing you showed us. Persistence hunting. Chasing prey until it collapses. Is that how you'll fight the Vreln?" Woojin looked at her. "The Vreln have been running for 3 months," he said. "They think they're the hunters. But they've never been chased by humans before. They're about to learn what it means to be prey." The galaxy had forgotten what humans were. They had dismissed the myths and warnings. They had seen only weakness where there was strength. Now, they remembered. Now, they understood. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would be the same. Number. Part 4. Commander Tae-Young-yoon watched 30 alien soldiers try not to vomit. They were the best special forces operatives their species could provide. Elite warriors from a dozen different worlds. Right now they were lying on the ground, exhausted after a simple 10-kilometer run. "That's it?" Tae-Young asked. He wasn't even breathing hard. "That's your best?" A Thuldarian commando looked up at him with anger. "I am tired," Tae-Young said honestly. "I'm just used to it." He walked among them. Some were twice his size. All of them were trained killers. None of them could keep up with a human. "On Earth, we make our children run this far for school fitness tests. You're supposed to be elite soldiers." "We are elite," the Thuldarian growled. "Then act like it." Tae-Young's voice wasn't cruel, just matter of fact. "The Vreln won't stop because you're tired. They don't get tired. They don't feel pain. They'll keep coming until you're dead, or they are. If you can't push through exhaustion, you can't fight them." This was the 3rd week of joint training. Admiral Haewon had assigned Tae-Young to teach Assembly Forces human combat doctrine. It wasn't going well. Not because the aliens weren't skilled, but because they had never had to fight the way humans did. A floating jellyfish officer approached. Her name was something Tae-Young couldn't pronounce, so she let him call her Drifter. "Commander, our forces are struggling with your methods." "I know. Perhaps we should modify the training? Make it more achievable?" "No." Tae-Young looked at her. "The Vreln won't modify their attacks. When you're wounded and tired and surrounded, They won't give you a break. They'll kill you. He softened his tone. I'm not trying to break your soldiers. I'm trying to save them. Humans survive because we're used to suffering. Your people need to learn that they can suffer and still fight. On the orbital station above Centralis Prime, Captain Daeho Kim met with the Assembly military staff. He had survived the Indomitable's destruction, pulled from an escape pod with severe burns. Now he commanded from the UNS Resilience, humanity's second-largest ship. The aliens looked uncomfortable. They had seen the battle plans. Human doctrine was aggressive to the point of recklessness. You want to attack their supply lines? A Thuldarian admiral said. That means going deep into Vrailine-controlled space. Yes, Daeho said simply. He pointed to the star map. The Vreln swarm needs resources, ships, fuel, biomass to make more warriors. They've been taking these from conquered worlds. We cut their supply lines, they starve. But the casualties will be worth it if we win. Daeho looked at them. You've been fighting defensively for 3 months, reacting to Vreln attacks, protecting what you have. That's not how you beat them. You have to make them react to you. Admiral Hay-1 spoke from the screen. The Vreln are a hive mind. They think collectively. They're efficient, coordinated. But that's also a weakness. They're not creative. They don't improvise well. Individual Vreln organisms don't make independent decisions. Humans do, Daeho continued. Every one of our soldiers can think for themselves. Adapt. Change tactics mid-battle. That's our advantage. You're suggesting we learn to fight chaotically? Vrektal asked. I'm suggesting you fight smart, Daeho corrected. Use unpredictability, feints, false retreats, ambushes, things the Vreln hive mind can't predict, because it thinks in terms of efficiency and logic. Over the next month, joint operations began. Human ships took the lead positions in every fleet, not because they were stronger. They weren't. Assembly ships had better shields, better engines, but human ships fought differently. They took hits meant for allied vessels. They put themselves between the Vreln and more fragile species. Lieutenant Bo-Ra, recovered from her wounds, led the first boarding action against a Vreln hive ship. 20 Marines in powered armor. They cut through the hull and fought inside. The conditions inside were nightmare fuel. Organic walls, no light, acidic atmosphere that ate through their suits. Keep moving, Bo-Ra ordered. Her team fought through corridors of living tissue. Vreln warriors appeared from walls. The Marines adapted. They used grenades, flamers, whatever worked. When their weapons failed, they used knives. When their armor broke, they fought anyway. They reached the ship's central node and placed demolition charges. The extraction was harder than the insertion. Half the team was wounded. Bo-Ra had taken a claw through her shoulder. But they all made it out. The ship exploded behind them. How? The assembly fleet commander asked. How did you survive inside that? Because we had to, Bo-Ra said. Simple as that. More operations followed. Mixed human-alien units started working together. Aliens learned that humans could endure. Humans learned that aliens had their own strengths. A Thuldarian might tire faster, but they were stronger. A floating jellyfish couldn't run, but they could coordinate multiple tasks simultaneously. Taeyang's Special Forces team completed their training. 30 aliens who had learned to push past their limits. They weren't as tough as humans, but they were tougher than they had been. They had learned the most important lesson. Don't quit. Their first mission together targeted a Vreln command station on the planet Kreltos. It was supposed to be impossible. The station was deep underground, protected by thousands of Vreln warriors. We go in quiet, Taeyang briefed them. Stealth approach. Plant charges. Get out. No heroics. They dropped from orbit in stealth pods. Landed in the jungle surrounding the station. The team moved through hostile terrain for 2 days, avoiding Vrelm patrols. The aliens struggled. They weren't used to long-distance infiltration. But they kept going. When they reached the station, things went wrong. A patrol spotted them. Alarms went off. The team had to fight their way in. Instead of sneaking, Taeyang adapted. New plan. We fight through. Drifter, coordinate our movement. Thildarian team, your heavy assault. Everyone else, provide support. Move. They hit the Vrelm like a storm. The mixed team used tactics they had learned from humans. Aggressive pushes. Quick retreats. Unpredictable movements. The Vrelm hive mind struggled to respond. It kept expecting logical patterns. The team gave them chaos. They reached the command node. Planted charges. Started extracting. 3 aliens were wounded. Taeyang and 2 others stayed behind to cover the retreat. Go, Taeyang ordered. We'll catch up. We don't leave people behind, Drifter said. You taught us that. Taeyang felt something warm in his chest. Pride. Then we all go together. Move. Taeyang. 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 They fought their way out. Lost 1 soldier, a brave Thildarian who took a hit meant for Drifter. But the rest made it. The charges detonated. The command station collapsed. The Vrelm forces on Kreltos lost coordination. Assembly forces, waiting in orbit, swept in. With the command structure broken, the Vrelm defenders fell quickly. Kreltos was liberated. The first major victory of the counteroffensive. Back on the Resilience, Daeho received reports of successful operations across multiple fronts. Human-led task forces were hitting Vreln supply lines, destroying logistics hubs. The Vreln advance had stalled. They're pulling back from 2 systems, his tactical officer reported. They need to consolidate. Good, Daeho said. Now we press harder. Don't give them time to recover. Admiral Hai-1 appeared on the screen. The Assembly Council has agreed to a full offensive. They want us to lead it. Target? The Vreln have a fortress world called Terminus. Intelligence suggests it's where their queen mind is located. The central intelligence controlling the entire swarm. 1-2-2. Daeho studied the data. Terminus was deep in Vreln space. Heavily defended. The attack would be massive. Dangerous. Exactly the kind of mission humans specialized in. When do we leave? He asked. 2 weeks. We're assembling the largest fleet in assembly history. Over 1,000 ships. 50,000 Marines. Most of them trained by us now. Daeho looked at the image of Terminus. A dark world wrapped in storms. We're going to end this. Yes, Hai-1 agreed. One way or another. In the training grounds, Taeyang gathered his special forces team. The aliens, who had learned to fight like humans, who had learned to endure. You've all heard about Terminus, he said. It's going to be the biggest battle of the war. Volunteers only for this one. Every hand went up. Every single one. Drifter spoke for them all. You taught us something, Commander. Humans don't quit. Well, you're not the only ones who can be stubborn. We're with you. To the end. Taeyang nodded. He didn't trust himself to speak for a moment. These warriors from different worlds, different species, united by something they had learned from humanity. Not tactics, not weapons, but the refusal to surrender. The fleet began assembling. Human ships, assembly vessels, all preparing for the final push. The galaxy had learned what humans were. Now the Vreln would learn it too. The counteroffensive had begun, and it would not stop until the Queen Mind fell. Number. Part 5. Terminus appeared on the view screen like a bruise in space. Dark purple clouds wrapped around the planet. Lightning flashed continuously across the atmosphere. Somewhere down there, beneath the storms, the Vreln Queen Mind waited. Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the Resilience, watching the assembled fleet take formation, over 1,000 ships. The largest military force in assembly history, human vessels formed the spearhead. They would hit first. They would take the worst of it. All ships report ready, his tactical officer said. Dae-ho opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Captain Kim. Today, we end the Vreln threat. Not with fear, not with hate, but with determination. Show them what we've learned. Show them that together, we're unstoppable. All ships, advance. The fleet moved toward Terminus. The Vreln were ready. Defensive platforms opened fire. Thousands of fighter organisms launched from the surface. The space around the planet turned into a battlefield. Human ships absorbed the first wave of fire. Their shields burned bright, then failed. But they kept going. Behind them, assembly vessels advanced, protected by the human sacrifice. It was brutal. It was effective. Damage report, Dae-ho ordered, as his ship shook from impacts. Forward shields down. Hull breaches on decks 5 through 7. Weapons still operational. Good enough. Continue firing. On the surface, Lieutenant Bo-ra prepared for the drop. She had 2,000 Marines in dropships, plus 3,000 Allied soldiers. They would land in the middle of a storm, fight through Vreln defenses, and reach the Queen Mind's chamber. Simple. Impossible. Exactly what humans did best. Check your gear, she told her platoon. They were veterans now. The ones who had fought on a dozen worlds since then. It's going to be rough down there. And when isn't it rough? Someone joked. The Marines laughed. Bo-ra smiled. They were scared. They were exhausted. But they were still human. The dropships launched. The descent was violent. Lightning struck several ships. The atmosphere was toxic. The winds were strong enough to tear metal. But they made it through. Most of them, they landed in a hellscape. The ground was organic, pulsing with life. Vreln emerged from it like they grew from the soil. Thousands of them. Everyone off the ships. Move. Bo-ra led the charge. Her forces spread out, establishing a perimeter. The fighting was immediate and brutal. Vreln came in waves. The Marines held. Commander Taeyong's Special Forces team landed 3 kilometers away. Their mission was different. They had to reach the Queen Mind first. Clear a path for the main assault. His team of 30 moved through the nightmare terrain. Aliens who had trained with humans. Who had learned to endure. They fought through Vreln defenders with coordination and determination. Contact front, someone called. Vreln warriors blocked their path. The team engaged. Taeyong moved through the fight with calm precision. His rifle sang. His movements were exact. He had done this 1,000 times. Drifter coordinated the team's movements telepathically. The Thuldarians provided heavy firepower. Others used their unique abilities. They worked together like they had been born to it. They reached a massive structure. It pulsed with bioluminescent light. The Queen Mind's chamber. Plant charges on the entrance, Taeyong ordered. We'll blow our way in. The charges detonated. The team rushed through the gap. Inside was worse than outside. The walls were alive. They moved. Breathed. The air was thick with spores that tried to choke them. The Queen Mind knew they were coming. She sent her elite guards, Vreln twice the size of normal warriors. Faster, stronger. The team met them head-on. It was the hardest fight of Taeyong's life. The elite Vreln were everything the galaxy feared. But his team didn't break. An alien soldier went down. Another took his place. A Thuldarian lost an arm but kept fighting. Drifter's telepathy guided them even as she took wounds. They pushed deeper. The Queen Mind tried to stop them with psychological attacks. Visions of failure. Fear. Death. But humans had lived with fear. For 200,000 years, it didn't stop them. And now, their allies had learned the same lesson. Outside, Bo-Ra's forces held the landing zone. More dropships arrived. The perimeter expanded, but the Vrelm kept coming. They would never stop coming as long as the Queen Mind lived. "We're running low on ammunition," her sergeant reported. "Then we improvise." Bo-Ra grabbed a Vrelm claw from a dead warrior and used it as a spear. If her people saw their lieutenant fighting with improvised weapons, they would know. They could do the same. They did. The battle raged for hours. The fleet in orbit was taking heavy losses. Captain Deho's ship had lost half its weapons. But they held the line. They kept the reinforcements coming. Inside the Queen Mind's chamber, Taeyang's team reached the inner sanctum. The Queen herself waited. She was massive, beautiful, in a terrible way. Her mind pressed against theirs, trying to break them. She showed Taeyang visions, his team dying, the mission failing, Earth burning. "You cannot win," her voice was in his head. "You are finite, mortal, weak. I am eternal." Taeyang looked at her. At this thing that thought it was invincible. "You don't understand humans," he said. "We're not strong because we're eternal. We're strong because we're mortal. Every day we live, we choose to live. Every fight we take, we choose to fight. You can't break what chooses not to break." His team placed demolition charges around the chamber. The Queen sent her guards. The team fought them off. 3 more soldiers fell. But the charges were set. "Go," Taeyang ordered. "Everyone out." "Not without you," Drifter said. "I need to make sure." "No." It was the Thuldarian, bleeding from a dozen wounds. "You taught us. We don't leave anyone behind. We all go. Together." They extracted under fire, the wounded helping each other, moving as one unit. They made it out of the chamber. Taeyang triggered the charges remotely. The explosion shook the ground. The Queen Mind's death scream echoed psychically across the planet. Every Vrelm stopped. All of them. Across Terminus, across the fleet battle, across every invaded world. The hive mind broke. Without the Queen, they were just organisms. Confused. Disoriented. "All units! Enemy forces are breaking!" Admiral Haywon's voice came over every radio. "Press the attack. End this." The assembly fleet swept forward. The remaining Vrelm ships were destroyed or scattered. On the surface, Bo-Ra's forces advanced, hunting down the leaderless organisms. It was over. The casualties were high. 4,000 humans dead. 8,000 wounded. Allied losses were similar. But Terminus had fallen. The Vrelm swarm was broken. 3 months later, a ceremony was held on Centralis Prime. The great hall that had once laughed at humanity now honored them. The fallen were named. Every single one. Humans insisted on it. No one was forgotten. High Chancellor Vrektal spoke to the assembly. "We called humans weak," he said. "We saw their short lives and fragile bodies. We didn't see the strength." He looked at the human delegation. Admiral Haywon, Ambassador Ji Woo, Dr. Wu Jin, Lieutenant Bo-Ra, Commander Taeyang, survivors of the impossible. "You are strong because you choose to be," Vrektal continued. "Every day, despite pain and suffering, and the knowledge that you will die, you choose to stand, to fight, to protect others. That is true strength. We will never forget again." The assembly members stood. A gesture of respect. Across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, beings of 100 species did the same. Admiral Haywon spoke for humanity. "We didn't fight because we're strong. We're strong because we fight. And we fought because no one should face extinction alone. That's what we offer the assembly. Not just our endurance, but our refusal to let others fall." 5 years passed. The galaxy changed. Human-trained units became the standard for assembly militaries. Young aliens joined human academies, learning not just tactics, but philosophy. How to endure, how to persist, how to choose strength. New Jeju was rebuilt. A memorial stood where Firebase Gwangju once held against impossible odds. 847 names carved in stone. Humans visited it. But so did aliens. They came to understand what those names meant, what humans were willing to sacrifice. Bo-Ra trained the next generation of Marines, both human and alien. She taught them that strength wasn't about never falling. It was about standing back up. Taeyang led mixed-species special forces teams on missions across the galaxy. His first team, the ones who survived Terminus, stayed together. They were family now. Different species. One unit. Dr. Woojin's work became required reading. Not just about human biology, but about what makes any being strong. The choice to continue. The refusal to accept defeat. Ambassador Jiwoo served on the High Council now. Human voices were heard. Human ideas were respected. Not because they had won a war, but because they had shown what it meant to truly stand together. On Earth, in a small museum, a uniform hung in a case. Captain Daeho Kim's uniform, recovered from the Indomitable. His final message played on a loop. Never again will anyone say humans are too weak to protect our own. And they never did. The galaxy had learned. Myths become myths, because some truths are too powerful to remember as simple facts. Humanity had reminded them, had shown them, and in doing so, had changed what it meant to be strong. The galaxy was safer now. Not because the threats were gone, but because when new threats came, they would face beings who had learned from humanity, who understood that true strength comes from within. From the choice to stand when you could fall, from the refusal to quit when quitting would be easier. Humanity had shown its strength, and the galaxy would never forget again.